is a joint venture between two U.S. companies, Michael Foods, who Vince and I work for, and as we mentioned earlier, OSI Group out of Chicago, and they are famous as a McDonald's supplier, as Vince mentioned, and I'll talk a little bit more about each company here in a minute. Interestingly, for you, sort of in the academic world, studying these sort of things right now, the way we chose to structure this company is that Michael Foods and OSI formed a U.S. joint venture. So and it's just a paper company in Delaware or something that is a 50-50 joint venture. And then that 50-50 joint venture owns MK Foods 100%. So MK Foods is a 100% wholly owned foreign company, enterprise. Yeah, Woofy.
And one of the reasons, there's several reasons we formed a company in the U.S., but we also have plans possibly to expand and have businesses in other parts of the world with them. So this U.S. company would own those businesses.
Right. So, as said, 100% Woofy. The processing facility is located, and something's gotten screwed up with the map, I just noticed. The processing facility is up just outside of Beijing in Langfang, Hubei. Our commercial office where we all work is here in the Shanghai area. And we've just started operations in March after 2.5 years of work. Just to give you a little bit more about Michael Foods, we are headquartered in Minneapolis, clearly, the world's largest egg processing company. And in addition, best known as eggs, but in addition we have also a potato and a cheese processing division. We're the market leader in refrigerated processed potato products.
Since you guys are from Minnesota, you may recognize the products, Crystal Farm.
Sure.
And then also Simply Potatoes.
Yeah. That's the one? Okay.
Yeah, that's us. And we built a brand new plant about 2 years ago out in Chaska. We spent $65 million. We had a plant over by the University of Minnesota, which was getting old, and the university wanted the property, so we moved. So we got a state-of-the-art potato plant.
Okay.
And just a couple more things on Michael Foods that I don't see here that I'll mention. We're privately held. We're $1.8 billion in sales. We're owned by Goldman Sachs. They're our third equity owner since we were public up through 2001. We went private. Within 2 years, we sold it to somebody else, T.H. Lee out of Boston. And then about 18 months ago, or maybe 2 years ago now, Goldman Sachs came in and bought about 75%. T.H. Lee retained about 20%, and then management owns about 5%.
So, in addition to the 9 egg processing plants in North America, we do have one in Canada. That doesn't include the one now here. We also have just 2 potato plants now that we've
Las Vegas
and Chaska, and then 1 cheese processing, what we call a cut and wrap plant. We're not a basic cheese producer. We buy block cheese from various suppliers and have a plant that makes shreds and packages them in retail packages or chunks or slices or whatever. So that's Crystal Farm.
Does that carry the Crystal Farm brand name?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So big in Cubs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So the egg business, it's in all 3 channels: the food service, food ingredient, and retail. Retail is much more of a potato and cheese channel for us. Really, about the only thing we do in the egg side is the so-called egg replacers that we sell. So the big business is food service and food ingredient. Food ingredients being egg products that we supply to other food processors that they would use then as an ingredient in their finished product, be that in the mayonnaise, sauces, dressings business, baking and confectionery, pasta and noodle business, what am I leaving out? Ice cream, a broad range, just anything that you would see egg product as an ingredient, and we could potentially be supplying them with products. And of course, the food service side of our business is the hotel, restaurant, and catering area. Big in fast food, big in hotels, but really a little bit in just about anywhere and everywhere you can think of dining away from home. Schools, hospitals, various canteens and catering situations, airline catering. The military is a huge piece of our business, in addition to fast food and QSR and so forth.
But QSR, fast food service, is the reason we came to China. We have, many of our North American customers have moved to China, and of course they said they wanted our product, now they have it, now it's a price issue, but we'll get through that. But, you know, because we basically put most QSRs in the breakfast business. Subway, I don't know if you've eaten the Subway breakfast sandwich that came out a couple of years ago. We helped them develop that. It's an egg white patty. Starbucks is our customer. Pretty much any time you go to a fast food restaurant in the U.S., with the exception of McDonald's, it's already coming from our factory, either in patty form, liquid, frozen, whatever it may be.
Oh, really?
And so, anytime you're eating at a hotel, usually they have a big buffet with eggs, scrambled eggs or omelets. Most of my eggs. So we had customers who said, "Hey, we're in China now. We want your safe supply of eggs," and we said, "Okay, so that's why we're here."
So just to give you a little idea about our scope, as you said, the largest in the world, which certainly makes us the largest in the U.S. So #1 processor and distributor, largest exporter from the U.S. Market share of somewhere in the 47–48% range, and really focused or on the value added, further processed products, pre-cooked, a lot of specialty products for baking and other ingredient type things, in-shell pasteurized products, hard-cooked, hard-boiled products. So a wide range of products that service, you know, all different types of applications, like say from the biggest mayonnaise producer to the smallest, you know, little fast food restaurant. A little bit about our partner, you know, to go back and pick up on some comments Vince made earlier. You know, when we came over here and started looking around, we I think fairly quickly realized that Michael Foods probably wasn't quite ready to come over here and do this, you know, by ourselves. So we started looking around at partners, and we feel lucky enough to meet OSI and their local subsidiary called foods2, and find someone that had a lot of experience here in China, had a lot of the same, I think, corporate culture in terms of food safety and customer focus and so forth. So we felt very lucky to be able to put together a joint venture with them and make this thing work. So headquartered in Chicago, an old company similar to Michael Foods, larger than we are, somewhere in the $4 billion range in total world sales, operate facilities around the world, and again, a lot of that, or maybe almost all of it, is due to their relationship with McDonald's. I believe I'm right in saying that they supplied the first hamburger patties to the very first McDonald's in Des Plaines, Illinois, just outside of Chicago. OSI, as I said, it's headquartered in Chicago, but it goes back into, yeah, at least, maybe even further than that. A Polish gentleman, Maggie, Kulikowski or something like that, emigrated from Poland and set up a little meat business down in the Market District of Chicago. It grew and grew and was successful, and when Ray Kroc bought the rights to the McDonald's from the McDonald's brothers in California, he opened his first restaurant in Des Plaines. He went to Otto Kulikowski and his company, and they supplied the first hamburger patty, and it's grown since then. So it's gone from Otto Kulikowski Inc. to Otto and Sons to OSI.
But just to give you a little idea about OSI, when we met them, actually up until about 6 or 7 years ago, they basically just supplied McDonald's. Wherever McDonald's said, we're going, you come with us, build a plan, we'll guarantee you. And all their arrangements were basically cost plus.
Mm-hmm.
So, but then about 5, 6, 7 years ago, McDonald's said to them, you know, you can cut your overhead and give us that savings, you can sell other people now. So now they're out selling to other people like Yum Brands and Subway and people like that. So they've really expanded and changed their business model. And just to give you an idea, in China here, I think when we met them, they had a couple of lettuce plants and they had the processing plant up in Beijing where we're at, and then the processing plant here in Shanghai. And they imported most of their meat, right, the chicken and the beef. Now, in the last 2 years, they've built 2 fully integrated, you know, they have the birds on the ground, the broilers, 2 fully integrated chicken, one for Yum and one for McDonald's. They now have about 4,000 employees in China.
Jeez.
So I mean, when I think we met them, they might have had 500.
Something like that.
So I mean, when things happen in China, they go fast. I mean, very fast. So they're big here now in China, and people know who they are. But for 20 years, they did not have a fully integrated business where they didn't have their own broilers for the chicken. And they still don't for the beef, they import it. But now they decided they need to do the full chain. And it's something we'll talk about a little bit, what we're thinking about for our business.
Again, just
That's enough.
a lot of the same stuff, yeah. So just in summary, what we're doing here, again, it's a joint venture between OSI and Michael Foods, processing eggs. You know, the main focus of our products are safety and convenience for the food service industry. You know, we're going to be making just our pasteurized liquids, both frozen and chilled here. In the U.S., we do a lot of products such as dried products and fully cooked products that might come at a later stage here, but we've started with just our basic pasteurized liquids. So that gives us...
We basically tell people that we don't necessarily sell eggs, we sell food safety and convenience. Sure. We do sell eggs, but that's not, they cost more than shell eggs, so there's a value proposition here, and that's what we're doing. So McDonald's, if they buy our eggs, they can sleep at night and not worry about a problem. In fact, I don't know, Jenny, you know Bimbo, the largest baker in the world, they're out in Mexico. Yeah. But they have 99 baking plants in the world, and all of them are in Latin America and North America pretty much, and now Spain. But they have one in China, in Beijing. And we met with the CEO of Bimbo maybe 3 years ago. We had a private meeting with him down in Mexico City. And we asked him what kept him up at night. And he said the shell eggs they break by hand in Beijing at the plant. So we finally, we landed the order. I just saw it over the weekend. So we'll be servicing Bimbo starting next week. So we're real excited about that.
Vince, I believe that Cargill has the McDonald's market for liquid eggs?
Yes.
In the US?
Yes.
Is that do they have it here also?
No, Cargill's still using shell eggs. We're actually, we had a meeting scheduled with them last Thursday, but we got called to the embassy in Beijing on something, so we had to postpone the meeting.
Sure.
So we're rescheduling that. No, today they use shell eggs, and even in the United States, you know, their Egg McMuffin is a shell egg in the store. So now here in China, our partner, Husi, actually, we do the business now at MK Foods, but for years they've washed the shell eggs that McDonald's uses in the restaurants. So now we're doing that at MK Foods. So we're hoping to say you don't need shell eggs, you want to start buying our liquid eggs.
Before Cargill
Yeah,
that would be nice.
No, the reason we don't have the McDonald's business in the United States is a mistake our CEO made 20, 30 years ago, a long time ago. 20 years ago. we had come out with a new we were supplying McDonald's with shell eggs, I believe. And we had come out with a patented process for liquid eggs. And they're liquid chilled, frozen, or not frozen, liquid chilled, and it has a 12-week shelf life. So we were the first ones to have that. So we decided we wanted to push that in the marketplace, so the CEO did. So he called McDonald's and said, in 30 days we will not supply you shell eggs anymore. You'll buy our liquid eggs.
Oh.
They've never forgotten it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they made a crucial mistake. We still have the letter.
On the wall.
And we cannot get McDonald's to talk to us in Chicago. So we're trying to go in the back door. We're hoping maybe in China or Mexico, someplace else, we can get in with McDonald's. Because obviously they're the gorilla in the breakfast business.
Good story.
So,
Can you give us an idea of volume? I think that what everybody thinks of a dozen eggs.
Right.
You know, that's the standard. So how many dozen eggs do you process a day in the plant?
well, here it's very small. I'll do it a different way.
Okay.
We have a plant in Gaylord, Minnesota, which is one of our, how many egg plants do we actually have? 6?
Well,
Roughly 6.
Six
They're doing different
locations,
things.
Yeah.
But the Gaylord plant, on an annual basis, can process like 500 million pounds of eggs at that one plant.
Wow.
This plant here has the capacity to do 30 million pounds, so a lot
Oh
smaller.
my goodness. Yeah.
So we built the plant small, because it's an experiment. We didn't have a customer signed up on the dotted line. So we said we'll go into China with a small model, and we have plans on how we expand that. And as we continue to build the business, then we can expand. But this way, if it was a total bust, we didn't have billions of dollars invested here. So it's different than some companies who would come over here and maybe have a customer signed up and invest big time. We invested small and we'll grow with the market.
So you have the eggs. Do you have the chickens and do the eggs themselves, or do you?
No, we came over here and said we're going to apply our standards. Because in the U.S., 25% of our egg needs come from our own egg farms.
Okay.
And then the other 75%, some of them we have long-term agreements up to 10 years. We buy all the eggs from a farmer. We just choose not to put our capital into that part of the business. And then maybe a third of them we buy on the open market. And we have very strict standards of the specs of what we buy in the U.S., which we've transferred here to China. So we do not have our own birds on the ground. And there's some problems with that. First of all, I don't think we'd be here today if we'd gone to the board and said we need our own birds on the ground. We probably would have killed the project right away. So we figured out, and we think we can continue to operate to some degree without it, but longer term, we're starting to think that we may need our own, what we call layers. And there's 2 reasons for that. One is you really do control the quality in the food system from the beginning. The feed is what we get worried about. Because all of a sudden, you got the spec that says this is the feed you're going to use, then you walk away for 2 weeks and the farmer decides he can buy something else a little cheaper or add something to make the eggs bigger or whatever, or glow or whatever. So it's a concern of ours, for sure. The other thing is, which I'll be honest, I didn't really realize this at the time, because we're learning as we go, but there's a VAT tax, correct? Maybe you can explain that a little bit. If you own your own layers versus us buying from others. So explain how that worked and what that costs us versus
It's called VAT tax, it's a value-added tax. So each product sold in China, the manufacturer will pay 13% to 17%. It's called VAT tax. If we own the farm, so we just transfer the cost directly from the farm to our manufacturing facilities, we don't need to pay the 13%, the VAT. So we just can reduce the cost by 30%. So our pricing will be more competitive.
So today in the marketplace, if our competitor, and we'll talk a little bit about our competitors in a minute, but if our competitor had his needs covered with 100% ownership of layers, he would have a 13% advantage over us, correct?
Yeah.
So that's a problem that, you know, we're running into that I was not really aware of how that worked, so we're learning.
And if you import stuff, there's also duty then on top of that, isn't there?
There's no way to import eggs into China.
Yeah.
But if there actually is a duty in place.
Yes.
And that's one of the reasons we were in Beijing last week, because we met with the Undersecretary of Agriculture, Darcy Vedder, and Al Alamanza, who runs FSIS for the US. They were in town, and we were pleading our case that, you know, there's value-added products that we don't make in China that some customers say they want, we'd like to be able to get them here. But there's nothing in what they call the export library, which tells you how you can export products. There's nothing listed between the US and China. But there is a duty, what is it, like 20?
12%.
How much?
12.
12, plus another tax on top of it, so it ends up
It's
at
right.
20.
When it comes
30%, then
to
you can-
export eggs to China, you have to pay duty is 12% plus 13%
Yeah.
VAT.
Yeah, it gets up there real quick.
Right, so no, we don't bring any eggs in. It's all, we've got farms approved that we buy from. But that's a challenge for us, you know, because as our business builds, to make sure we can continue to get proper supply, because we don't want to buy from a guy with, 50,000, 50 birds or something small. We want bigger farms that have controls and run like a business, so.
Is it hard to find those farms?
Is it hard to find them? It will be hard. I mean, we found several. We have enough right now that, yes, to find them and have them close so you don't have all this extra transportation, yes. But we're also talking to a couple other companies. There's a big egg laying business down in close to Chengdu, and he would like to build a layer farm up around Beijing with. When you have a layer farm, a lot of times people are selling in the shell egg market, which we call the table egg market, so retail. And about 2/3 of the eggs make the cut, the right size and all that, and they're not cracked or anything. The other third, they end up being what we call broken, which is for our business. So if we can get tied up with someone who's really interested in selling retail eggs and then let us take the small ones, the big ones away, that's ideal. Because anybody who's selling in the retail business is going to have high quality. The farms that we've approved, for the most part, are also approved by McDonald's. So we know that the rules, stringent specs. So. And then there's a big company out of Europe called Big Dutchman, and they manufacture cages for the layers. And they have a business here in growing fast, so they wanted to build a layer farm around Beijing as a showpiece and as a training for people who are going to build farms. But they don't want to sell the eggs into the retail market and compete with their potential customers. So they've come to us and we're talking about, all right, we'll take all those eggs away, but you can train people on the farm and all that, and then we win in that situation maybe. So there's a lot of different ways of trying to put things together. It's just, you wouldn't know these things if you weren't over here. Like Jeff discovered that by being here, Some days you're here for a week and you're like, what am I doing here? There's nothing going on. But you have to be on the ground to meet these people and start to understand.
Develop the relationships in a way that, I think the quality, my grandparents ran a produce station in Iowa, so the candling process I'm very familiar with,
It's changed a little bit.
30 dozen eggs coming in a crate, man, you gotta candle them and weigh, gee. When kids run out to the farm, I'll get that egg, I'll put it in here and sell it to them, yeah, right. You know how that goes. But, oh well.
So,
Well, this is the list of questions that you guys had sent, and we can, I think, we've got 35 or 40 minutes left before we
can talk at lunch,
Yeah, you've covered a lot of this.
So we can certainly, sort of
but
structure.
just jumping around like managers, obviously,
Yes.
we've hired, we thought from the very beginning that was extremely important. We've said from the beginning, we're not gonna run this business from Minneapolis or Chicago. It's gotta be run here.